Hello and welcome to the channel, welcome to Heretic Day 40k and my Deathwatch 10th edition index review. I'm going to go through the Deathwatch index today in some detail. I play Deathwatch, so it'll be interesting to see what the new rules are for them. If you like the content, smash the like button, feel free to hit subscribe. And you can also become a YouTube channel member and join the Legion if you wish. So, yeah, thanks. Deathwatch, Army rules. They get kill teams. That's nice. This essentially runs through how kill teams work. So when you're targeting a kill team, you do it with the sort of the majority toughness value. So if you obviously have bikes in a kill team, they're a higher toughness than the infantry. But if there's more infantry than bikes, then you use the infantry toughness, not the bikes. If they have the equal number, so let's say the kill team's got down and you've got 3 bikes and 3 infantry left in the kill team, for example, or maybe even Terminators, because Terminator's got toughness 5 now as well. If there are 2 or more toughness characteristics that are having the same amount of models with that toughness, then you use the highest toughness value, which is quite nice, I guess. It also mentions that for embarking in transports, kill team models like Terminators and bikes and jump pack models take up the space of 2 models, but they can embark within transports that their unit can embark within, even though similar models with the Terminator mounted or jump pack keywords may not normally. So I think this essentially means that if you want to, you can have a Rhino with its transport capacity of 12. You can get a Proteus kill team with 5 veterans in it. That means you've then got space for 7 more models in it. You could maybe put a Terminator, a jump pack, and a bike in there, and that's 6 more models. Why you'd want to put Terminators, jump pack models, or bikes in transports, I don't know. But it sounds as though that is something that you can do to save there being awkward interactions. It also mentions that for the purpose of interacting with terrain features, all models in kill teams are treated as being infantry, even though there may be some models in that unit that have the mounted or jump pack keywords. So essentially you can have bikes driving through walls as if they're infantry. That was a thing in 9th. I think it makes sense to carry that over because obviously it just causes some really awkward interactions with how you move through terrain and get the benefits of cover and things like that. So that's that. Let's move on to the detachment rules. Obviously it's a Space Marine detachment, so you will get oath of moment, and also you can use units from the Space Marines index. So it says here there are some restrictions. You can include Deathwatch units, but you can't use any units from any other chapter. So you can't have Deathwatch with, I don't know, Marnia's Kelgar, for example, in your Deathwatch army. But you can have other Astartes units, not just ones in this index, because it is a supplement, not a standalone index. And then it also mentions you cannot include the following units. So you cannot have assault squads with jump packs, attack bikes, devastator squads, land speeders, scout squads, scout sniper squads, tactical squads. That's fine because you get kill teams instead. So, okay, cool. And obviously the Deathwatch are sort of veterans picked from other chapters. So it makes sense you can't have things like scouts or assault squads when you can have Vanguard vets, which are like assault marines, but more experienced. So that makes sense to me. Mission tactics, I really like these. They're very similar to the Tyranid ones, actually, in terms of how they interact. But for the Tyranids, you can sort of pick one that lasts all game. The Deathwatch have the same sort of 3 abilities, and you pick them in your command phase, and it lasts into your next command phase. But you can only pick one, each one once per battle. So there's 3, and obviously there's 5 battle rounds. So for 2 battle rounds, you aren't going to have anything active. But to be honest, that's fine, because the first turn, if you and your opponent are deployed properly, the first turn there isn't really much shooting or action going on anyway. You're sort of just manoeuvring, hiding in cover, that side of sort of thing. And quite often, by the time battle round 5 comes around, it's just a matter of just sort of mopping up and getting some more points. There's not always so much killing going on in turn 5. Most of the battle is done in turns 2, 3, and 4. Which is 3 turns, so that's perfectly fine. So there is Fewer Tactics. Well, this tactic is active. Weapons that your Space Marines have will have the sustained hits. So essentially, any 6 to hit will grant you extra hits for an entire battle round, essentially, from your command phase into your next command phase. So that's quite nice. Exploding 6s to hit, so you want volume of attacks for that, to make the most of that. There's another one, Malleus Tactics, which gives you lethal hits, so 6s to hit will auto wound. That's also very nice. Again, volume of attacks. The more dice you roll, the more likely you are to get 6s, the more likely you are to get these lethal hits. So I think Deathwatch are going to be the Space Marine army that's built on for volume of fire and volume of attacks. How easy that's going to be, I don't know, because I imagine their veterans and kill things won't be cheap in points. But okay, that's fine. That's auto winning things on 6s for an entire battle round is very useful. If you're facing something that's an army that's got lots of high toughness in it, that could be very handy if you've got loads of bolt rifles. Get a few extra wounds through. That's nice. Proteus Tactics. This one gives you precision hits on critical hits. So essentially, any 6s to hit, those attacks will be precision. So you get your entire unit, you roll all your dice. Any 6s to hit can be precision, so you can sort of keep them in a separate path to the rest of your hits, I guess. Obviously all the wounds will be against the unit's toughness still, but then you can choose those wounds to go through to the character of a unit. So that's good if you're facing, for example, another Space Marine chapter, because Space Marines have lots of characters. I can see Space Marine armies going forwards having lots of characters in them, and I think precision is going to be quite a handy thing to be able to have, especially if it's your entire army for one battle round. You can just spend a turn just killing characters. So that's good. I like those. I like these. They're very nice. They're very flexible, very handy. Again, they're sort of built on volume of attacks, so you want to lean into that as much as possible. As for the stratagems, you can't use the ones in the Space Marine Index, but you can use these ones. But there is at least one that is stuck from the Space Marine Codex, and that is Armor of Contempt. This is the one that for 1 CP you can have one of your units reduce AP by 1 when it's being targeted. So that's still a very good one to have, especially on a unit of Terminators. So that's very nice. Adaptive Tactics. In your command phase, you can pick 2 kill teams or just one other unit, and you can pick which mission tactic is active for that unit. So being able to sort of have flexibility with your mission tactics essentially is very nice. So it could be quite good if you've used all 3 of these, or maybe you're in that turn 1 or turn 5, but you really want one of your units or 2 of your kill teams to have sustained hits or lethal hits or precision. 1 CP, bang, done. So that's very good. I like that. Note that having kill teams is better for most of these stratagems, because you can pick 2 kill teams or one other unit. For some of the kill teams, I think you might be better off having just the normal Astartes units. But it depends sort of what units you're making up and what you want to do with them. But that's something to bear in mind. 1 CP, 2 kill teams or one other unit. Even if it's just one other unit for 1 CP, that's not bad, to be honest. Teleportarium. So end of your opponent's fight phase, so essentially at the end of your opponent's turn, you can select 2 of your kill team units or another Astartes unit, pick them up, and then in your movement phase, which is literally about to happen because they've just finished their turn, then you can set them back up on the battlefield they've teleported. So it's a reposition strat for 2 kill team units for 1 CP. I like that. It's very handy. It's very flexible. What you cannot do though is pick things that are within engagement range. So it's not an easy way of sort of falling back and shooting things. But at the end of the fight phase of their turn, if one of your units is out of position or needs to get out of dodge, pay a CP, you can reposition up to 2 of your kill teams or another unit. So I don't know, let's say you've got some Hellblasters that are left out in the wind for whatever reason, because you've put them somewhere and they've just in their turn ran away from them, essentially, which would make sense. You can, at the end of the turn, pay a CP and pick up that Hellblaster team and put it down somewhere else in your next turn. So that's nice. Now for the sort of special ammunition, which the Deathwatch get now, it's all stratagem based, and they're all in your shooting phase, which makes sense because, you know, special ammunition. So for 1 CP Hellfire rounds, you can pick 2 kill team units or another Astartes unit, but not for vehicles, so not your Dreadnoughts or your Land Raiders or anything like that. 2 kill team units or 1 other Astartes units. Till the end of the phase, ranged weapons get anti-infantry 2+ and anti-infantry monster anti-monster 5+. So essentially any wound rolls of 2+ against infantry will become critical wounds. Any wounds of 5+ against monsters will become critical wounds. So it helps with not only getting more wounds through against these targets. So let's say you're shooting, I don't know, a load of bolsters from your Fortis kill team or something. Infantry, being able to win them on 2+ is nice for a CP rather than, you know, 4+ or 5+, depending on what they're shooting at in terms of the infantry. Or even be able to take down monsters with bolsters winning on 5s is quite nice, because obviously most monsters and things have got much higher toughness now, so we'll have small arms normally winning on 6s, so winning on 5s is good. But what's really good with this, really good, is you can have, for example, Proteus kill team, which we'll get to in a moment, with loads of combi weapons which have devastating wounds against the infantry, and loads of Terminators with assault cannons. I think you can have up to 3 in a Proteus kill team, 3 Terminators, so you can give them all assault cannons, which have devastating wounds. And then you can shoot this unit with all these combi weapons and assault cannons at a unit of infantry, and on every wound of 2+, it's just a mortal wound. So yeah, essentially this stratagem is really good if you've got a unit with lots of devastating wounds potential. So yeah, so that could be really good. What you cannot do though is select a unit that's already been targeted with, you know, another special ammo stratagem this phase, so you can't stack them. That would be insane. But yeah, this one's very good if you've got units with lots of devastating wounds in their sort of weapon profiles, and you're shooting infantry or monsters to get those critical wounds through. You can do a lot of damage. Kraken rounds, 1 CP, again, shooting phase, you can pick 2 kill team units or 1 other Astartes unit, but not vehicles. Till the end of the phase, you improve your AP by 1 and the range by 6. That's very good as well. I like that. Most weapons and temps seem to be getting a reduced AP. So if you can just pair CP and up AP again for a couple of units in the shooting phase, that's nice. And not only that, you're increasing the range by 6. So, you know, those Hellblasters, which have now got AP 3, you can put them back up to AP 4 and increase the range to 30. That's nice. Or even your bolt rifles being AP 2 and 30-inch range. That's nice. You know, or even your Terminators with their Storm Bolters then being AP 1, 30-inch range. That's very nice as well. Yeah, I think that's a good one if you've got a unit with lots of guns, but not necessarily ones that have devastating wounds. I think this would be a good one to go to make them more effective. Again, you've got a user restriction that you can't stack these special ammo strats. Dragonfire rounds in your shoot phase again, 2 kill team units or 1 other Astartes unit, no vehicles, same there, that's a trend. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons will have the assault ability and ignores cover. So you can advance and shoot with a unit or 2 units if they're kill teams, and they ignore the benefits of cover as well. So that's also very handy. It's almost like having extra range and extra AP. They sort of do similar things. So yeah, this one's quite good if you just want to get a unit up the board, or you're trying to maneuver to see something that you otherwise wouldn't be able to see. That's very good. Or if there's a unit in cover and you just need to shoot them, basically. So that's good. I think all of these are really good. This one I think is amazing if you've got units with lots of devastating wounds in their profiles. I'm wanting to make more combi weapons and Terminators with assault cannons. But yeah, okay, strats, really like them. Okay, on to enhancements. I had a good read through these, and definitely a couple of them stand out. Let's go through them. We have the Thief of Secrets. You can pick an Astartes model, and you can improve the strength, damage, and AP characteristics of their melee weapons by 1. If an enemy model has been killed as a result of that melee attack from that weapon until the end of that phase, at the end of that phase, then until the end of the battle, it gets an extra strength, damage, and armor penetration. It goes up to increased by 2 rather than increased by 1. So that could be good, I guess, if you've got a really melee character. I don't know, let's say a Terminator Captain, improve his sort of relic blade or whatever they're called by extra strength, AP, and damage. That's really nice. And then if he's killed something, then get increased by 2. That can be really nice on, you know, like I said, Terminator Captain or the Gravis Captain. He's really punchy. So that's really good if you've got a character that wants to get stuck into combat. I like that. That's nice. Beacon Angelus, I really like this. This is really cool. It's sort of continuing on from how it worked kind of in 9th. Essentially, you pick one of your Astartes characters, and him and his unit get deep strike. Absolutely amazing. And in addition, they can also be targeted by rapid ingress for 0 CP. So they essentially get what Terminator squads get. So they can deep strike down in your opponent's turn if you really want for no CP. And which means obviously in your turn then you can move and charge and do what you want to do. Or if you want, you can just deep strike them in your turn, and then they can obviously just shoot when they got a long charge. I can see this being used on you know, characters that go within sort of killy Proteus kill teams or killy Terminator squads. I suppose Terminator squads do it anyway. So yeah, probably just Proteus kill teams with lots of melee weapons. That would be really cool. Or Deathwatch Veterans. Get them dropping down for 0 CP in your opponent's turn, and then they can move and get a good charge off in your turn. Or what I was thinking, put this on a character that's with some Hellblasters or something, and just deep strike them. Don't worry about using the rapid ingress for 0 CP in that case, because you're going to be shooting. But the ability to just drop down Hellblasters where you want them, that can be really nice. In 9th, Deathwatch had a strat where you could just teleport units. Now it's an enhancement you can give to a character, and that unit can deep strike. Deep striking Hellblasters could be fun. Deep striking Eradicators could be fun. Anything shooty that can come down and hit exactly where you want it to hit, that's going to be really good. And then obviously, if they're then out of position, or the opponent starts moving towards them to take them out, at the end of their fight phase, you could just redeploy them again using Teleportarium. So you can have Hellblasters sort of just jumping all over the place. That could be fun. Or, you know, Eradicators, or maybe even when you can't get Devastators with Deathwatch. But yeah, any sort of shooty unit, that could be good. The OCS Key, this is probably the worst out of the options, I think. Watchmaster or Tech Marine only, okay. I mean, fine. At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, select one enemy vehicle within 12 inches and visible. You probably don't want your Tech Marine within 12 inches of an enemy vehicle, but your Watchmaster, maybe, okay. And then that model must take a leadership test. If it's passed, until the end of that phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. If it's failed, it can't shoot. It sounds really powerful. Even if they passed it, they're going to be -1 a hit. And it's not just a once per battle thing, it's the start of every opponent's shooting phase. You can pick an enemy vehicle, and it's either going to have -1 a hit, or it can't shoot. But do you really want your well, you definitely don't want your Tech Marine within 12 inches of enemy vehicles. You don't want him running up the field. You want him walking around with your dreadnoughts and things. Watchmaster, maybe he can go forwards, but he can only join Veterans and Proteus kill teams. So yeah, do you really want them that close to enemy vehicles, and how often are they going to be close to enemy vehicles? It's very situational. But I guess if you're, you know, have a Watchmaster with some veterans and a Rhino, maybe just zoom them up the battlefield, get them out. Then you can just, you know, if someone's got lots of vehicles, you can really damage their shooting phase. You know, if someone's got a Ballistus Dreadnought or a Land Raider with all the Godhammer las cannons, or you're playing Knights, whether that, you know, although it does say excluding Titanic units, so it's only going to be the small Knights. Most of the good vehicles with lots of guns will have a fairly decent leadership test, so the chances are that it's going to be -1 a hit, not stopping them from shooting. On the odd occasion, you'll stop a unit from shooting. But yeah, it's very situational, but it could be powerful if you get a bit of a luck. But yeah, okay, it's an interesting one. The Tome of Ectoclads or Ectoclades, whatever you want to call it. Watchmaster or Captains. Only once per battle, but I still think this is very, very, very good. After you've selected an enemy unit for your over moment ability in your command phase, you can use the enhancement, and then you select another unit, and until the start of the next command phase, that unit also gets hits and wounds rerolled against it. So essentially, for one of your command phases, you can get to pick 2 enemy units for your over moment ability. That's very, very good. So say you got, you know, you've positioned yourself in turn 2 or 3 to really hit the enemy hard. You've activated your lethal hits or sustain hits for that battle round, and there's 2 real big targets you want to take out and deal with. Activate this, and those 2 units are probably going to be dead. Very powerful. I like that. I like Beacon and Jealous. Very nice. This one's very good if you've got a melee character. This one's very situational, but also quite good. So yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Moving on to the data sheets now. There's not that many, so we can go in quite a bit of detail, I feel. The Watchmaster, he hasn't really changed much. 2-up save, 5 wounds, 4+ invulnerable save. I don't think his weapons changed massively either. He's got a visual spear. It's got a ranged attack, which is essentially a bolt gun, but it's damage 2, and he hits on 2s. No AP on that, which is yeah. And then he's got the melee profile. He gets 6 attacks hit on 2s at strength 6, -2 D3 damage, which is nice. And then he's got Lance, which I believe gives +1 to wound on the charge. So he's not bad in combat. And then, you know, if you give him the enhancement to increase the strength, AP, and damage and all that by 1, it will then be 6 attacks at strength 7 with +1 a wound. AP 3 D3 +1 damage. That could be pretty pokey. So he's not bad, but I don't think that's the reason why you bring him along. You bring him along for his abilities. While he is leading a unit, that unit can shoot or declare a charge in a turn in which it advances or falls back. That is very, very strong. Essentially, whatever unit he is within can advance and shoot and then charge, or I can fall back and then shoot and then charge. So it makes one unit very, very flexible and mobile across the battlefield. And like I said, he's not that bad either himself in combat. So if you put him with like a combat veteran squad or a combat Proteus kill team, that unit could be quite pokey. You know, you want to fully kit it out with as many guns as you can get. Maybe a Proteus kill team with some Terminators with assault cannons and some veterans with combi weapons for that Hellfire rounds, and just fall back and just keep shooting, or advancing and keep shooting. That's going to be very powerful. Yeah. And not only that, once per battle, after your opponent uses a stratagem, if he's on the battlefield, in other words, if he's not dead, you can use this ability. If it does not, or if he does rather, until the end of the battle, that opponent's stratagem is increased by 1. So if your opponent's using, I don't know, a command point reroll, for example, it's normally 1 CP. You can say, you know what, if you want to reroll stuff, it's going to cost you 2 CP for the rest of the game. You know, or if someone's going to heroically intervene, you basically pick a stratagem that you think is going to be really good for them. And let's be honest, most people are going to want to use their really good stratagem, probably in the first or second turn at least. So you'll probably know which one it is. Pick that one out. Until the end of the battle, increase the cost of it by 1. It doesn't increase the use of it for that use by 1, but subsequent uses. So yeah, but it's still very powerful, because what they'll do then is they'll either end up dumping all of their CP into doing their special strat that they like, or they'll just not do it. So it's also a good deterrent. So I like that. Very good at sort of nerfing your opponent's stratagem uses, and also makes one of your units very mobile and a lot more killy. Yes, this guy leading a Proteus kill team could definitely be a thing. So that's interesting. He's good. I like him. And yeah, he can lead Deathwatch Veterans or Proteus kill teams. So, like I said, you probably want a Proteus kill team with some Terminators with assault cannons in it and some Veterans with combi weapons in it. Basically. Watch Captain Artemis. He's about the same, pretty much, really. Still T4 with 4 wounds and a 3-up save, so no more durable. He's still also got his Feel No Pain of 6-up, but he's only got 4 wounds, so it's not really going to help him. But it's nice. And he's a leader, so he can join units. As expected, he is a captain, so that's nice. His weapons are good, though. His combi flamer is better than it was. So it's anti-infantry 4+. So any wounds of 4 or more against infantry auto wound and count as critical wounds, which is important because it also has devastating wounds. So essentially, if you win infantry on 4s or more, mortal wounds. It also ignores cover, which is nice for if you don't get those devastating wounds, then you're still ignoring cover. And it auto hits because it's a flamer. It's 12 inches, D6 hits. So essentially D6 hits. So you're going to get 3 or 4. You're winning infantry on 4s. You're going to get a couple of mortal wounds against infantry each time you shoot this. That's really what you want to be shooting at. For where you don't get the mortal wounds, it is strength 4 at AP 1, damage 1, but it's just going to be dishing out a couple of mortal wounds against an infantry squad on average. If you're really lucky and you get 6 hits, and then they're all 4-ups, then that's 6 mortal wounds. But yeah, more often than not, you're going to do, probably 2 or 3. Melee weapons, you get 6 attacks with his Mastercrafted Power Sword. Hits on 2, strength 5, -2, 2 damage. That's not bad. That's quite nice. It's kind of what you expect, really, from a Mastercrafted Power Sword. His abilities are quite nice. Tactical Instinct. While he is leading a unit, you can target that unit with a stratagem, even if that stratagem's already been used, and that unit can be targeted with a stratagem, even if it's battle shocked. So if you've got units that battle shocked, and you still want to use a stratagem on it to make it more effective, you can do if this guy's with them. And if it's a stratagem you've already used elsewhere, you can still use it. So if you want, that Hellfire round's going off on 2 units, you can do it if you got this guy in one of those units. And even if they're battle shocked. So that's quite nice. It's just as well he's got a good ability, because as a character he's not that great otherwise. He is an unstoppable champion, apparently. First time this model is destroyed on a 2-up, he gets back up, not engagement range, with 1 wound remaining. I mean, okay, I guess if he gets sniped or something on a 2-up, he can get back up and keep buffing his unit. But other than that, he's not going to cause too much trouble. And then, as expected, he can be attached to Deathwatch Veterans or Proteus kill teams. Okay, very nice. Also note that he has a captain keyword, as does the Watch Master. That'll come in handy in a moment when we get there. There is Kill Team Cassius. It's got Captain Cassius, some Veterans, some Terminators, and a biker in it. They're to be expected. You've also got, the Librarian in there as well for his Librarian attack, Psychic Cleanse, and his Force weapon. You got some guys with combi weapons. You've got a Terminator Heavy Flamer. You've also got the Chapman with his Crozius. So this is, the classic Kill Team Cassius. They were sort of like a fun unit before. Whether they're any good now or not, I don't know. Let's find out. Let's have a look at their abilities, because that's where they're going to shine, if at all. While this unit contains Chapman Cassius melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Devastating Wounds ability. That sounds really good, because there is the Vanguard vets in the unit, and there's obviously the Chapman himself and the Librarian with some good melee weapons, and a couple of veterans with melee weapons. So giving them Devastating Wounds is nice for that entire unit, and it's quite a big unit as well. So okay, that's interesting. You could combine that. I know you can't because it's melee weapons. Hellfire rounds is only in the shooting phase. But yeah, Devastating Wounds though is still very nice. Any wounds of 6 will do mortal wounds. It's nice. It's not amazing, but it's nice. Each time this unit takes a battle shock test, you can reroll it. Okay, again, that's nice. Okay. If they've got jump packs, they can move 12, and they can move over models and trainers if they're not there. That's better than having fly, to be honest, because you can just ignore terrain completely. Whereas with fly now, you've got to measure your distance through the air. Psychic Hood. Models in the bearers unit have the Feel No Pain 4-up against psychic attacks. That's nice. That's the sort of typical Psychic Hood that we've seen for other Librarians. And the Chapman and the Terminator have a 4+ invulnerable save. Okay, yeah. Nothing out of the ordinary there. This goes through what they've been equipped with. If you've seen the models or you have them, you know what they're equipped with. And then it just goes through here and just says that you cannot have both Chapman Cassius and Kiltian Cassius, because Chapman Cassius is a named character in the Space Marine Index. You can't have two Chapmans called Cassius running around. That's just silly. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be an amazing unit. Yeah, I think it might be a bit more useful than it was before with these mortal wound outputs in combat, especially with they have a fair amount of attacks, to be fair to them. So yeah, okay, interesting. Deathwatch Veterans, I really like these guys. Weapons, yeah, frag cannons that they've changed. They've been reduced in range from 24 to 18, but so things like multi-melters, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. It's blast, it's heavy, it's rapid fire D3. It has D3 attacks as standard. Used to previously have 2, now it's D3, which is basically the same as 2. But now if you're within 9 inches, you get 2 D3 attacks. And it's also blast, so if you chuck guys with frag cannons in rhinos, for example, zoom them up the battlefield, get them out, because you can get out after you zoom up the battlefield now. See if you can get within 9 inches with those frag cannons and have 2d3 attacks plus whatever you'd get for blast. That could be a really good sort of horde killer, and it's not even that bad at just killing marines, to be honest. It's strength 7, AP 1, 2 damage, and obviously you can use strats on these guys to increase the AP if you want to, or to ignore cover, or increase the range by 6 inches. Because there's one of I think it's Kraken rounds. I think it was Kraken rounds, where you get an extra 6-inch range and an extra AP. That'll bring these guys back up to a 24-inch range, AP 2, which is what they used to be. So that'll bring them back to where they were before. And that will also help the rapid fire, because that means you're going to be rapid firing within 12 inches, not within 9. So yeah, okay, frag cannons, they're not bad. They're also heavy, so if he stands still, you can hit on 3s instead of 4s. But to be honest, you're going to be moving around with these guys, because you want to try and get within that rapid fire range. But okay, it's nice to have. Infernus Heavy Bolters. It's no longer, you can do both profiles, now you can pick one or the other. So it's a heavy bolter, which again gets heavy, so you can hit on 3s if you stay still. It gets sustained hits because it's heavy bolter. It's 5 AP 1, 2 damage. Okay, fine. Infernus Heavy Flamer though will ignore cover, and it's torrent 12 inches, which you can increase to 18 with that strat. D6 also hits, strength 5, AP 1, 1 damage, and with that strat you would also increase it to AP 2. So a couple of heavy flamers jumping out, 18-inch range, AP 2. That's not bad. Not bad. Okay. The long vigil range weapon. These are essentially combi weapons, just by different names. You get the anti-infantry 4+, devastating wounds, rapid fire 1. So that's what they are, and you get the missile launcher. Cool. Which is obviously, you frag or crack. Not much has changed there. Missile launchers aren't too bad now. Strength 9, AP 2, D6 damage. But Strength 9 is only really going to be rhinos on 4s and other vehicles on 5s. But I think that's a trend we're seeing with most infantry carrying anti-tank weapons. They're not as anti-tanky as the tank anti-tank weapons. I think I've said tank quite a lot. Melee weapons. Decent number of attacks coming out of these guys, to be fair. 3 attacks each, which is nice. Whether it's with a close combat weapon or a long vigil melee weapon. The long vigil melee weapon is essentially the power sword that you get in the box. So, 3 attacks, hit on 3s, strength 5, AB 2. Very nice. What I really like, though, is the Deathwatch Thunderhammer. It has 3 attacks. They hit on 4s, strength 10. Very good. AP 2, 3 damage. So they're essentially what normal Thunderhammers used to be like in 9th. Normal Thunderhammers are a bit worse now. I think they're only damage 2. And I think only at strength 8 as well. These ones get more strength and more damage. 3 attacks, hit on 4s. Okay, I like that. That's fine. They get devastating wounds. If you do get a wound of 6, that's not 3 damage. That's just 3 mortal wounds. So again, that's nice. Xenophase Blade. It's like the power sword, essentially. Except for it's got devastating wounds. So more mortal wounds coming from that. And obviously that would be on the Sergeant. So you get 4 attacks. So that's nice, that's cool. Okay. Death to the Alien is their ability. Very nice. Every time I make an attack, your hit rolls are 1. Shooting, combat, don't matter. You're rerolling hit rolls are 1 every time you hit something with these guys. So the fact that your frag cannons hit on 4s and your hammers are hitting on 4s, you rerolling hit rolls are 1. And if you hit anything that's Xenos, in other words, not Imperium or Chaos, you can just reroll the hits. So they will be more efficient than their stat line sort of gives you the impression of, which is very nice. Makes them more reliable. Having these rerolls on things that hit on 4s, that are the things that you really want to be hitting with. So that's really good. One thing I've noticed actually, long vigil range weapon, visit skill 4+. Is that the same as the combi weapon for the Space Marines? Yes, I've just checked the Space Marine Index, and yeah, the combi weapons are all ballistic skill 4+, even on like Stoneguard Veterans. That's an interesting catch. So they're only hitting half the time. And then only half the wounds will be devastating wounds against infantry. Obviously with Vote for Moment, you get lots of rerolls. But yeah, okay, that's interesting. I just noticed that. I thought they'd be 3+ like the bolt gun. But no, so most of their weapons do just hit on 4s. Actually, but they are good weapons, and you're rerolling hit rolls of 1, and if you've got over moment. Yeah, okay, alright. Deathwatch Veterans, 1 Sergeant, 4 to 9 Veterans. One thing I have noticed is is it the Black Shields? The Black Shields are no longer a thing, which is that's a bit of a shame. Really. But yeah, interesting. Any number of models can have a combi weapon and a combat weapon, or a shield and a bolt gun, or a shield and a power sword. Cannot have a combi weapon and a shield. That's interesting. For every 5 models, 2 models can have a hammer. Nice. For every 5 models, 2 can have 2 models can each have the bolt gun along one of the following. So you can have 2 of the heavy weapons for every 5 as well. So you've got 10. You have 2 frags and 2 Infernus heavy bolters. You've got just 5 units, 5 models in the unit. You can just have a couple of frag cannons. That's fine. And also the sergeant can can have a combi weapon and a Xenophase Blade, as shown in the picture here. Attached unit, if a character from your army can normally be attached with Vanguard Veterans, they can attach to these guys. That makes sense to me. Okay. Deathwatch Terminator Squad. They're like normal Terminators, except for you get a lot more flexibility with their war gear. Rather than having Terminators and Terminator Assault Squad, you just have both of them combined into one Terminator Squad. So you can have your assault cannon, you can have your cyclone missile launcher, you can have your plasma cannon, you can have your heavy flamer. You can also have thunder hammers and shields and claws. You can have whatever you like. They get deep strike over moment. They get Terminator's assault. So when they end a charge move, in a move engagement range, you must take a battle shock test. I think that's the same as the Space Marine Terminator Assault Squad. And then they've also got Teleport Homer. So at the start of battle, you can put a teleport token down for anyone on the battlefield, and then you can do rapid ingress for 0 CP. But you have to be near that token, so you get a teleport Homer. So this is the same abilities as the Terminator Assault Squad. What you don't get is Fury of the First, like the normal Terminator Squad, but that's fine, to be honest. That's fine. Obviously, the Storm Shield guys get 4 wounds, which is very nice. So, I mean, me personally, I'm going to be running probably these Deathwatch Terminator squads, maybe with 3 shields and a cyclone missile launcher or something. Or if you really want to, you can have a couple of shields and then like 3 assault cannons. But yeah, okay, interesting. Up to 3 Terminators can have a heavy weapon, and then you can give them whatever melee weapons you like. So that's nice, that's fine. If a character can only join a Terminator squad, you can join this squad. That makes sense because they are Terminators. Okay. Veteran bike squads. They're like normal bikes, but they're veterans. You can give them combi weapons, and you can give them power swords and xenoblades on the sergeant. They're pretty much the same as normal bikes, really. Except for they get slightly different war gear, because they're Deathwatch ones. You get the auto advance 6 for turbo boost, and if you got a shield, on the sergeant, you can have a 4+ in vulnerable save. Veteran biker sergeant can be equipped with one of the following: combi weapon, power sword, xenophobes, or a shield. And all the bikers, if you want, you can give power swords too. So you can only have 1 combi weapon in the squad, but they're mostly a choppy bike squad. You want to give them all power swords. That's what you want. That's what you want. Bikers with power swords zooming across the battlefield. So yeah, okay. Sounds like fun. If a character can normally join an Outrider squad, it can join this squad instead. So that's your captain on bike, or your chaplain on bike, and things like that. Corvus Black Star. Flyers are interesting. They can either hover or not hover at the start of the game now. It's got 20 HP move, toughness 10, which is good for a flyer. Very good for a flyer. 3+ save, 14 wounds. So he's a chunky flyer, which makes sense because he looks a bit beefy. He's got the Black Star rocket launcher, which is blast, D6+1 attacks. But if you hit an infantry, you're going to get D6+2 or D6+3 because of blast. Strength 5, AP nothing, damage 1. That's fine. It's an anti-chaff weapon. It's got Hurricane Bolter, which is rapid fire 6. So you've got 6 attacks. Or if you're within half range, you get 12 attacks. And you're rerolling wounds for that. I mean, this is looking like an anti-horde killer. Storm Strike missile launcher. So this is your sort of anti-tank missile, 1 shot, strength 10, -2, 3 damage. Very nice. Twin assault cannon. That means you can reroll wounds. And it's got devastating wounds. So 6 assault cannon shots. I bet you reroll the wounds for it. Very nice. I think I prefer just have not twin linked and have 12 attacks, but okay. Twin las cannon, 1 shot. Again, it's twin linked, so you can reroll the wound for that. That's strength 12, -3, D6+1 damage. That's nice. It's got an armoured hull apparently. You can fly into other planes. That's strength 6, AP nothing, damage 1, 3 attacks. Okay, fine. Okay, it's got deadly demise. You can blow up. It can hover, which means essentially you don't need to start it off the board if you don't want to, but then you're not getting, the benefits to being a flyer, I guess, if you're hovering. It's stealth, so it is -1 to hit, which is nice. It has the Black Star cluster launcher. Each time this model ends a normal move, you can select an enemy unit that it moved over during that move and roll d6. 6 d6s for each 5+, takes a mortal wound. So yeah, you just find everything's dropping a few little mortal wound bombs. Not a massive amount, probably just a couple. But it's nice, I guess. War gear abilities as the Auspex Array. Ranged weapons equipped by the bearer have the Ignores Cover ability. So not only has it got lots of anti-chaff fire, it also ignores cover. Very nice. Because it's a fly, you probably want it flying around, hitting things behind cover anyway, because it's kind of like indirect fire, so that's also a nice little added bonus. It also has an Infernium Halo Launcher, so that's the smoke keyword. The smoke keyword. So you can do smoke launches to make yourself an extra -1 to hit, and give yourself the benefit of cover. So he's quite a durable little flyer, this. Interesting. And obviously, if he's 5 or less wounds, you -1 hit. Yeah, you can switch some of the rockets out. Okay. 2 Black Star rocket launchers can be replaced with 2 Storm Strike missile launchers. Not sure which ones I'd have. I guess it depends what else you've got in your list. Same with the Twin Assault Cannon, Twin Las Cannon. It can transport 12 Adeptus Astartes infantry or 1 kill team unit, which essentially means if you want, you can put kill team Cassius in there. I imagine that's why they've added that bit in. Each jump back Gravis or Terminator model can take up the space of 2 models. If it's mounted, it takes up the space of 3 models. Yeah, because if it didn't stay or 1 kill team unit, then because of the capacity and how it's worked out for Terminators and mounted and jump back units, you wouldn't be able to fit kill team Cassius in there. But now you can, because it specifically states you can put a kill team unit in it or 12 Astartes infantry. So that's nice. Obviously, mounted units aren't infantry, but if you put a bike in a kill team, then he becomes infantry. So that's why they've added that. Okay, Proteus kill team. Here we go. Let's start running through the kill teams. So you can get veterans, you can get bikers, you can get terminators, and obviously you can get veterans with jump packs as well. Ranged weapons, bolt guns, frag cannons, twin bolters, twin bolt guns. There is more to that, I believe you can give them. There's quite a long list here of what you can give them. Essentially you can give them whatever you like, really. Kind of. So any number of kill team veterans can replace their bolt gun with a combi weapon. So you can have a lot of combi weapons in the Proteus kill team. And then you can also have how many assault cannons can you have in here? 3 assault cannons and a load of combi weapons, and you can have a devastating wound on infantry death squad along with the Hellfire round strat we looked at earlier. So yes, it could be a very powerful, interesting unit. I think lots of flexibility in these, but I think you're probably better off honing each unit to one particular purpose. Is it going to be a shooty infantry unit? Is it going to be a combat unit? Is it going to be a durable unit, and sort of lean more to one way rather than being a unit that can do everything, because then you'll probably find it's not very good at anything. But yeah, so these are your flexible kill teams. You can have Terminators, bikes, Vanguard vets, or normal veterans in them. 5 to 10 normal veterans. You only have up to 4 with jump backs, only up to 2 bikes, only up to 4 Terminators. Previously you could have 5 Vanguard vets with jump packs, 5 Terminators, or 5 bikes, so they've restricted that somewhat. So essentially, if you want to max the unit out, you're going to have at least 6 veterans, then either the 4 Terminators or the 4 jump pack guys, or 8 veterans and 8 veterans and 2 bikes. So there's a little bit more restriction going on there than was before, but okay, I think that's fine. I think they're still going to be an interesting unit. Proteus Doctrines. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets a unit that is not below half strength, you get +1 to hit. So essentially this is your unit you want to go in hitting things first to damage it, not necessarily a unit you want to finish something off with. Yeah, so that's interesting. Starting shields give 4+ invulnerable saves. Storm shields on Terminators give an extra wound. And obviously jump pack, you get the 12-inch move, and you can move over trainers if it's not there, so that's very nice. And if a character can normally join Vanguard Veterans, they can join this unit. So, you know, your captain and your lieutenant and things like that. OCS Kill Team, this is the one with Intercessors, Outriders and Hellblasters, and Assault Intercessors. So, yeah, they are as expected in terms of their data sheet. You can sort of mix and match those units, but there are some restrictions. Got to have at least 5 Intercessors. You can only actually have 4 Hellblasters, and up to 4 Assault Guys, only up to 2 Outriders. So you can't have 5 Intercessors with 5 Hellblasters anymore. You'd have to have 6 and 4, which is annoying for people like me who have built their units specifically to have 5 and 5 in the past. But okay. So it looks as though the kill teams are going to be a little bit more restrictive now in terms of the models you can have in them, but I still think they're going to be very flexible. And obviously them having a kill team keyword means you can target 2 kill teams when doing those special ammunition stratagems. So it's going to be a bit of a trade-off whether you want the unit to be more flexible in terms of your stratagem usage, or whether you want to just have a unit of Hellblasters, or a unit of Assault Intercessors, or a unit of Terminators, and so on. So I don't think the Deathwatch Terminators are kill team keyworded either. So again, if you want Terminators, the bikes aren't. Terminators aren't either. So if you want to make use of that kill team keyword, you will be more restricted in terms of the models you can have in the unit, although they will be a flexible unit. If you want lots and lots of Terminators, you have to have a Terminator squad. You can't have 5 Terminators and 5 Veterans. You can't have 5 Hellblasters and 5 Intercessors. It's only 4. So that's restricting you a little bit, but it does give you the kill team keyword. So there is that. In terms of the weapon loadout, I'm not going to go through them. They're the same as in the Space Marine, but you get your plasmas, your twin bolt rifles, your standard bolt rifles. You get your Astartes chainsword. You get your power swords for the sergeant and so on. So that's that. Plasma Incinerator, I think I mentioned it earlier, is less AP than it used to have now, but it is just 2 shots at 24 inches and it's more strength than the Assault one, which is what I used to run. So they've been interesting. The ability for the OCS Kill Team, though, is, I'd say, because of the limit on the number of Hellblasters, you can get in it probably worse than what you'd get if you had just Intercessors and just Hellblasters. You do get the advantage, obviously, that if the enemy starts shooting at this unit, you can just remove Intercessors before you start removing your Hellblasters. But yeah, so Fortis Doctrines, each time this model in this unit makes an attack that targets unit that is below half strength, +1 to hit. So you'd want your Proteus Kill Team to hit them first to get +1 a hit, and then these guys to finish them off to get +1 a hit, essentially. Although with Intercessors as a standard unit getting sticky objectives, and Hellblasters as a standard unit getting shoot on death, I'm not sure I'll bother with Fortis Kill Teams, to be honest. But it depends on how much you want to make use of this Kill Team keyword. Indominator Kill Team, again, it's fairly restricted in terms of what units you can have in it. So I might as well start there. You can have between 5 and 10 heavy Intercessors. You can only have up to 2 Aggressors, up to 2 Eradicators, and up to 2 Inceptors. So you can't have 5 heavy Intercessors protecting 5 Eradicators anymore. So again, you're getting restricted there, but you do get the Kill Team keyword. It's a trade-off. Characters that can normally join heavy Intercessor squads can join it, so you can get your Gravis characters. And also you've got the same weapon profiles as Eradicators, Inceptors, and heavy Intercessors. Their ability is Indominator Doctrines. Each time one of this attack makes an attack +1 to hit if this unit is below its starting strength. So basically, if some of your kill team has been killed, you get +1 to hit, even if it's just one of them. If you're below half strength, then you get +1 to wound as well. So they get more killy as you kill them. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about this. Heavy Intercessors get +1 to their save against damage 1 attacks if it's just standard Heavy Intercessors. Eradicators get the rerolls to their hits, wounds, and damage if they're just Eradicators. Again, I'm not sure if it's a good trade-off just to get the kill team keyword and just to protect a couple of Eradicators or a couple of Inceptors with some Heavy Intercessors. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. Spectral's kill team. So this is all your Phobos guys. Get the kill team keyword. So this is your Reavers, your Incursors, your Infiltrators, and your Eliminators. The guys with the bulbous night ruffles, which are really good now. They can infiltrate, and they can have a scout move of 6 inches. They have Spectral Doctrines at the end of your opponent's turn. If this unit is more than 6 inches away from all enemy units, you can pick it up and put it back into reserve. So they've got a redeploy thing going on, which is nice. They also get the war gear abilities that the other Phobos units get. So you get your Helix Gauntlet, you get 6 up for no pain. You get the comms array, so if you use a strat on them on a 5 up, you can get it back. But again, you are limited to what you can put in it. So 5 to 10 infiltrators, but you can only have 2 with sniper rifles. You can only have 4 with carbines. You can only have 4 with combat knives. Only 2 with jump packs. So it's a trade-off again, whether you want a flexible kill team to get the kill team keyword, or whether you just go with the standard Phobos units to get them more of a sort of honed and targeted unit in terms of what you want them to do. The redeploy is nice. That's nice. But yeah, it's a big trade-off to get the kill team keyword to make those strats a little bit better. I think it's a big trade-off in my opinion. Some head-scratching moments in list building, I'm sure. Deathwatch Armory. There's a load of the extra weapons that we weren't able to see earlier. And that is it. So yeah, the kill teams are interesting. They're more restricted than they were before. They get different abilities to what the standard units would get. They're sort of more killy in their abilities, but less put into a particular role. So the Indominator kill team, it's more killy as you kill it. That's really nice. But the Eradicators, you get to reroll all the hits, wounds, and damage. The Heavy Intercessors are more durable. Interesting. The Forces kill team, again, you can get Plasma shooting on death, and you can get sticky objective Intercessors. Whereas this, you just get +1 a hit if you're hitting a unit that's almost dead. I mean, it's an interesting one. I'm not sure I'll bother with the Primaris kill teams. I think the normal Primaris units are better. The Proteus kill team and the Deathwatch Veterans are definitely going to see some action. Especially my games coming soon. I'm liking the Deathwatch Veterans can reroll hit rolls of 1 and reroll all hits if it's against Xenos. That's very nice. A Proteus kill team with a Watchmaster will be nice, enable them to advance, shoot, and advance and charge, and fall back and shoot, and fall back and charge. With units with lots of combi weapons and Terminators and assault cannons. I can see that being a thing. I like that, and obviously it gets the kill team keyword. And obviously the Deathwatch Veterans that we saw earlier get the kill team keyword as well. So I think I'll just have Deathwatch Veterans and Proteus kill teams, to be honest. And then for my Primaris things, I'll probably just divide them up to keep their standard abilities. I want my Hellblasters shooting on death. I want my Intercessors getting sticky objectives. And I want my Heavy Intercessors sticking around a bit longer. So yeah, that's an interesting take on the new Deathwatch rules. I hope that was useful and insightful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if I've missed anything, or if you've come up with a different idea, or if I've got something wrong. Yeah, thanks for tuning in to HD 40k, and we'll see you in the next one.